welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing. Each episode takes a deep dive into the franchise space and explores how the biggest and best brands handle national branding, franchise development, employee recruitment, and localized marketing on a daily basis. This podcast is brought to you by NetSertive, a localized digital marketing partner for franchise networks. NetSertive talks shop with franchise executives to discuss what's working, what's not, and answers the question, what else can you be doing to excel at the art of franchise marketing?
Hello, and welcome to the Art of Franchise Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Erin Martin, and this episode is brought to you by NetSertive. Today, our guest is Cassie Gato, the VP of Marketing for Canine Resorts Luxury Pet Hotel. Cassie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Excited to dive in and chat. And so to kick things off, can you tell us just a little bit more about your role and everything that you do at Canine Resorts?
Sure. I'm Cassie Gato. Erin said I'm the VP of Marketing here at Canine Resorts Luxury Pet Hotel. I've been with the company for just shy of 4 years now. I can't even believe it. And prior to coming on board, I was actually a customer. I used to board, I still do, board my rescue dog Biscuits with Canine. And what I do for the company is oversee all of the marketing efforts that our franchise owners are currently active in. Also anything with creative and branding, brand guidelines, ensuring assets are in the hands of all of our owners. I do that. And some of the major focus over the past few years has been a lot with our grand openings. So I was previously at Toys R Us quite a long time ago doing grand openings with them back when that was a thing. And I am so excited to be here helping each one of our owners understand what marketing works for Canine Resorts in particular, how it's different. Our industry is definitely different versus retail, understanding where to place ourselves within the community. I help teach all of that here at Canine.
I love it. I can imagine with pet-obsessed fur baby parents, there's a lot that you have to work with on the marketing front.
Oh, absolutely. Who doesn't want to see cute dogs all the time? We have limitless content. So that's been pretty awesome.
So what are the big initiatives that you guys are focused on and looking at right now?
Sure. Right now, we actually just launched a major change with some of our marketing. We have a 2025 calendar that includes turnkey marketing, which we're very excited about. Previous to this past year, we didn't necessarily have automations in place that would be a little bit more hands-off for our owners, but this year it's been a true focus for us to come together, come up with monthly themes, turnkey marketing that would include things like social posts on your behalf, an entire events calendar on your behalf. An owner could just opt in to having that along with a paired promotion and having all of those different assets in place. So that's been a huge initiative for us this year. It just kicked off a couple of days ago, so we're really stoked to see the results. And then on that too, we always keep Grassroots really close to the heart when it comes to initiatives and understanding why it's different for our industry to be in the community and making those kind of connections. So that's always just like an evergreen initiative that we have. And then one of the greater things that we're really excited about is the opportunity with influencers this year. As everybody out there knows, influencers have been on the rise for quite some time in several different industries, and ours is no different. So getting through creation of plans for influencers and partnering with them has been a huge initiative that we're also excited to dive deeper into this year.
Awesome. And on that first one for kind of that formal social program that you're making it turnkey, that's interesting because there's always that level of, okay, at what point do you take a piece of the marketing and make it a turnkey operation that corporate supports instead of just a playbook that you give franchisees to handle on their own? So what did that look like in terms of the decision-making process of how to layer it in, roll it out? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So about 3.5 years ago when I first came on board, one of the first things we did was get a freelancer to assist us with social content, coming up with cute partnerships, National Peanut Butter Day, National Bacon Day, things like that that really make sense for the brand just as a generic post, and being able to provide that to franchise owners. The system we had in place was a lot more manual back then, where it was, here is your content. Every month I would send an email about 10 days before the end of the month that had a zip folder of 8 different posts, like those National Peanut Butter or Bacon Days, a PDF of captions that corresponded a PDF of hashtags that also corresponded to specialized events that we were promoting with these social pieces. And then we also had all of that emailed out, which was very heavy. We didn't have any kind of way to actually automate it a few years ago. But now we've introduced different programs where we at the corporate office create these programs and are able to actually schedule them for the resorts without them having to do anything at all. So all of those national cute days that are part of our brand, those are all going up without a hitch throughout the entire system. So we really saw the need for automated content. People aren't as comfortable with Meta or social that we are, and we wanted to make sure that while we were trying to teach them how to market, we were also able to do it for them so they can understand what it's supposed to look like or how to do it. And we also hosted webinars on how to do it as well. We've been able to open up the communication we have with not only marketing, but our corporate office as a whole with our franchise owners to say, hey, these are the initiatives, here's how you do it. We're gonna also hold your hand and help you through it as you learn. So that was something we've developed over the past few years, and the tools have only gotten better, especially when we're talking about social, on putting them out more automatically.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then how do you guys balance the corporate messages with local? Do you have them still post their own local content on top of that so you have both going at once?
We do. So the best part about our content, like I said before, is that we just have so much of it. Everybody wants to see their dog. They want to see Biscuits playing with the person who's going to be taking care of them. So we definitely encourage and ask for local content every day on the actual platforms so customers can actually go in and see their dogs having fun at canine resorts. So local content is best. That is one of our mantras.
Yeah, I love that. And just quick question on the content piece then too. When customers come in, do you have them just sign? It's so funny. You think about signing your own or like your kids' rights to be shown in marketing, but now it's pets. Do you just have people sign yes or no so you can use that content easily without the asking permission? Or how do you guys handle the permissioning piece?
Yeah, that's definitely built in, but it's always transparent with an owner too. Hey, follow us on social so you can have a chance to see your dog. That's part of the language that we provide to them. So if they are looking for their dog, which most of them are, we can direct them somewhere and easily say, we're trying to capture all the dogs every day. Be sure to follow us for a chance to see your own. And that way that language is built in as well when they're having their conversations.
Yeah, nice. And then what do you guys all have going on the Grassroots front? I know that's one thing that you're super passionate about and love to hear what your experience is.
Sure. So for Grassroots, it's definitely a huge portion of our program. Don't get me wrong, I love digital, I love traditional media. It all works hand in hand very nicely, especially for our industry. When it comes to Grassroots though, being able to get out there in your community and making those face-to-face contacts with the owner who's going to be taking care of your dog, or a staff member who's going to know your dog by name or their preferences for treats, things like that is so important. Dogs are kids. Not everybody is having a kid and a dog. People are spoiling their dogs like nuts right now when it comes to treating them like a child. So we want to make sure that people understand face-to-face that their child, their fur baby, is our number one priority. And being able to actually go out and do things like farmers markets or street events or things like that, or finding a different way to involve yourself with the Chamber of Commerce and being part of those events is really impactful. A lot of the leads that come in through our Grassroots do translate over when it comes to having them actually as a customer in the future. And you want to keep them warm. It's not going to just be an automatic, oh, you're a dog hotel, great, I'm just going to give you my dog. That's not what it is. There's several touch points and warmth. So the Grassroots and having that like face-to-face education, I should say, and being able to answer questions and having that come through to a customer is super important.
Yeah, building that trust. And I could imagine too, I was just talking to another marketer about, we make emotional decisions and then we back it up with logic. So that's one of those where if you feel good with where you're going to send your pet, you want to have a polished digital presence and the proof behind the pudding that validates that, but that in person is so strong for that first connection and trust piece.
Oh, absolutely. When it comes to those Grassroots and those initial touch points, we also have material available. We've got our brand promise, we have our brochure, we have pictures, we have videos that we can share, but until you're going to see us interacting or us proving that we're going to take care of your fur baby in the way it should be taken care of, that decision is going to be a little bit harder to come by. So we want to make sure that we're making sure people are comfortable with us. That's why we have pet first aid certifications that are required of our staff members. They go through training, they take ongoing education on how to best handle dogs, making sure everybody's safe, evaluations before dogs actually get to mingle with other dogs. So we're keeping people's fur babies as safe as possible, and being able to actually talk about that one-on-one in a grassroots situation can really help somebody feel more comfortable in making that decision. You're so right.
Yeah. And as marketers, we get this. So how do you get franchisees bought into that? Like, what's your recommendation, communication, touch points to get them bought into doing more grassroots marketing?
Sure. So we actually, as we do all of our grand openings, we have certain trackers and things like that we always touch base on with our owners. Not only do we have information to back up that Grassroots truly translate from the various openings we have, because I don't know if we mentioned this, but we have 40 or 41 actually as of this weekend open locations, and we have the proof in the pudding that says Grassroots events truly do help translate these to lifetime customers. Mm-hmm. So being able to share that kind of tangible data with each one of our owners as they start to open is very helpful. And then just reminding them that this industry is more of that emotional connection. It's not going to be necessarily like a sale and a one and done. Like, these people are going to be in your life for years. And the lifetime of the dog is really our goal. We want them to be with us forever, and then secondary and tertiary dogs as well. So being able to stress that emotional connection and provide the proof that we've had done before is very helpful.
Yeah. And what does that tracking look like? Because that is huge. So what is your guys' system or tracking process to be able to bridge that grassroots to lifetime value of a customer look like in communicating with disease?
Sure. We give various angles of support throughout our entire onboarding process and also beyond. So we do have things like a grand opening playbook. We have scripts, we have email templates, we have phone scripts, things along those lines, ways to follow up with your leads, how to assess if they're warm or ready to purchase, next steps based on active listening. Active listening is so important. Don't just follow the script that you see. Make sure that you're able to actually have a conversation with somebody. I always say these scripts are a great starting point, but make sure you're listening to what their needs are. If they talk more about dog boarding versus daycare, or the concerns that they have with leaving their dog with somebody, things like that, and being able to answer it with our brand promise and the proof in the pudding. So we provide a lot of those kind of support materials that we've built over the years to help train all of our owners and their general managers to actively listen and hear what those concerns are so they can actively squash them, basically.
Yeah, love it. And so for you guys, I'm curious too, when I think of your space and industry and what you're serving, how do you guys go about either knowing the customer better and then being able to figure out what your differentiator is to infuse that in a lot of the marketing? I think oftentimes it could be like a competitive space. There's different areas and niches that different pet services have versus others. How do you just figure out how to communicate a lot of your differentiator in marketing, or better know your customer, to your point of how to train the owners to talk to a lot of the customers and be able to pivot and work on your brand value and mission and vision? What does that look like for you guys on being able to stay on top of trends and where your brand fits?
Sure. So over the past couple of years, we've had various consumer surveys done with actual customer base that we have. So we have thousands of customers with all of the open resorts that we have. So we have sent out customer-based surveys with questions about their lifestyle habits, if there was something more that they were looking for, if they use other services elsewhere, and how we can basically understand what their needs are. So we take our real customers, ask them those questions, and then translate it over into pieces of our marketing and also to our training tools for owners to be able to speak to. So we have enlisted our real customers to give us that kind of feedback.
Yeah. Was there anything surprising that came back from there, or was it all validating of what you probably already knew?
Mostly validating. There were some surprises, like things when it comes to household income or understanding their other lifestyle choices were slightly surprising. Like there's actually a wider audience that we may have missed previous that we wanted to focus on from a few years ago. There was an understanding of, oh, we're just a luxury brand, we're unattainable, but that's not true at all. And we've seen it in a lot of our customer surveys. We're like, we have a customer base that wants the best for their dog and understands that it's not necessarily just about the price of boarding your dog here or having daycare and understanding the health benefits. It's also making sure that your dog is safe. We truly train our staff, like I said, first aid and ongoing education when it comes to understanding dogs. But we also have the highest sanitation processes I've ever seen anywhere, including in like hospitals. We use hospital grade disinfectants when it comes to actually scrubbing down our facilities. And we have protocols in place where we have UV light that helps kill 99.9% of pathogens in the air to help reduce illnesses. Not every place has that. And when people hear these kind of measures that we're taking to take care of their fur babies, they truly appreciate Canine Resorts for what it is, which is keeping your dog safe.
Yeah, love that. That's especially, I didn't even think about the health thing, but now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, like you don't want your dog going off and coming back with the flu or fleas or all those things. So let alone getting bit by another dog, I would imagine is like the other main emotional, like you want them in a great place.
Yeah, and like I said before, we do that whole evaluation aspect where they're introduced to dogs in a certain way that we monitor how they react to them. And if they're not a fit for playtime with other dogs like doggy daycare, we have private play available as well. So we have options for people who might not have 100% dog friendly dogs, but if they're human friendly and 100% human friendly, they're welcome.
Yeah, that's cool. And so talk a little bit more about an influencer program then. What does that look like for you guys? Is it like actual dogs as influencers or they're popular parents?
Popular parents, nicely done. But it's a little bit of both. So we've actually had a few different programs with influencers. One most recently we had towards the end of last year out in Texas was fantastic. There was a great influencer, a micro influencer, so less than 50,000 followers, who had a really great handle on the community. She wasn't necessarily dog focused and she wasn't necessarily luxury focused, but the values made sense. She won a wonderful promotion in partnership with us where we decided on a promotion. I believe it was 10 free days of daycare, certain amount of entries that you could get based on what you did. So we really partnered with this influencer to reach their audience of dog lovers and try and bring them in. We saw tremendous results when it came to the amount of followers and engagement that we received from this. We increased from approximately 250 on this one account from followers to over 1,300 in the matter of a couple of weeks, specifically on this influencer campaign. So when it comes to the influencers, they reach a whole other audience that you might not necessarily be focusing on. And when you find the right one and are able to outline a program appropriately, you could definitely see some tremendous results. So it's really important that you help your owners or find an agency for your owners to help vet out influencers that make the most sense and then design a promotion with accountabilities in it.
Yeah. And that was going to be my next question, because there's a few different ways you can go about it, especially when you're in the micro influencer level. So for you guys, I think there's marketplaces, you can go through an agency. Like, how did you guys go about it? And then how do you think about the program moving forward? If it worked for one location or you tried it out once, are you scaling that to other areas? What does that look like?
Sure. So we are not immediately scaling. We're not going to jump all over the same influencer or the same company, but we'll definitely test it out at a few more locations with a similar structure. And what we did is we did partner with an agency, a trusted agency that we've used previously for other programming when it comes to our marketing programs, and really partnered with them again on exactly what we're looking for and then asking their input on that. So it was a very successful partnership when it came to that agency. So now we're going to be testing a few other ones through that agency and a different one as well. But for the most part, we want to take the work out again for our owners. We don't want to put all the ownership on them to say, go out, vet influencers, here's the list of things you have to look out for, because they have so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
They're not just concentrating on marketing. They have operations, they have HR, they have finance, they have a whole staff of 30 people that they have to take care of, scheduling. So when it comes to it, we're really trying to find an agency or work with agencies who then understand the test that we've gone through and being able to say, okay, you may now go to this one agency, we have a total program, it's completely turnkey, here's how much it's going to cost, and this is what you can expect.
And so the influencer you guys found, did she actually have a dog or no dog at all?
I have to go back.
I mean, it sounded like she didn't have a dog. She just had great community engagement ties, which like
I believe she had great community engagement. I actually can't even remember if she had a dog or not off the top of my head.
yeah, so that's super interesting because at first glance you would think, I don't know, you just have assumptions of who your influencer should be. And I think that's a really good proof point that there's other key things you're looking for. And I don't know if there's other key values or other things that aligned in terms of your actual customer base, and maybe she was mirrored that kind of ICP but without a dog. But very interesting you need to like think about it, not necessarily in that black and white, find someone exactly like your customer.
So that's what it really gets into the question you had before. Are the influencers we're looking for like actual dogs, or are they people? It could definitely be a mixture of both, because if you're getting involved with somebody who's trusted for their opinion on as an expert of the local area, if they align with our values, align with all of the different things that we represent as a brand, it can definitely be worthwhile. Imagine talking to a friend and you have a dog, but you don't know where to board them. Even if that person doesn't have a dog, they go, oh, you know what? I went to Canine Resorts. Did you know how clean it is and how well they take care of the dogs? I just watched Shelby go through it as an influencer, and I trust her because I love her food recommendations. There's other things that go into it when it comes to trust, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then one thing I want to ask you, because we've been chatting a bunch about this topic of data with marketers, is just we're all in this different area of life when it comes to harnessing and using data. You mentioned a little bit of it before in terms of being able to have great conversation with franchisees about Grassroots, because you have that data to show the awesome lifetime value of a customer when they're brought in that way. So I'm curious what you guys have going on the data front to either just like better harness and use, or what you guys have going on, or how you think about it.
Sure. So when it comes to tracking, we definitely rely a lot on the history of openings, how many leads have come in versus how many have translated to a sale versus how many ended up staying. We try our best to diligently track that. Our systems are only getting better. We have a reporting system that's currently being fed into a different database where we can manipulate different data according to what fields we're looking for. So that's in test right now, and I'm very excited.
Is that like a BI tool, or what's that tool?
Similar. Yeah, it's similar to that. So it is similar to BI, but it's not exactly BI.
Yeah.
So we'll be moving forward in utilizing that for our reporting purposes. Right now, it's a little bit more manual. We do have to go into a lot of different resorts, or we have some tools that are available that can be shared with them to track it, and then we're able to translate that into our history. So that's been really helpful with the trackers we've developed to have more clean data. We've also been able to up some of the tools that we do have, like our point of sale system actually has something in there where we can create forms for different sites. So we've been utilizing that as well to help with the automation aspect and getting our leads to fill out forms to be directly fed into that system versus writing it down on a piece of paper, making sure you have the piece of paper translated to an Excel sheet. So definitely an evolving process. No one's perfect at this point when it comes to those kind of pieces, but I feel like we're getting closer every day.
That's awesome. And yeah, being dashboarded is a whole different world. I feel like there's this transition, or at least for me in my experience, when it's like you've got reporting all buttoned up to do manually in an Excel doc. It's like super streamlined. You're feeling good about it. And then you finally get to a dashboarded world, and it's almost, oh my God, I thought it was all streamlined and easy, but what happens is you almost just end up in the rut of reporting on the main things that are in your Excel doc, as opposed to evolving how you're almost the maturity of your analysis. So it's like all of a sudden when you get into a dashboarded world, there's like different ideas of way to look at data or dig into it. And it's just compared to here's your 5 things that you're always reporting on and tracking, which is great. And you can do it in 2 seconds. So you never want to do the hard work to dashboard. But the dashboarded world is really where there's so much rich insights and analytics that can be pulled out with different ways of looking at the data.
Oh, absolutely. What I like to say here too is this is just about me, but I have a history of opening up Pandora's box by asking too many questions. So I feel like when you see that dashboard life, you're going to just be diving in even deeper and coming up with these insights that you never knew were even possible. So I look forward to the full dashboard life. We're working our way through the current trackers that we have and being able to build our history, which was, again, only going to get better.
Yeah, as most marketers are. Literally everyone is on the journey. It's just at what point with the brand or company that you're a part of. Some people who are starting new roles and stepping in, and they're like, oh, sweet Jesus, like I'm starting from the ground up right now. Like I've got to completely retool stuff. And you've got other people who are stepping into more mature dashboarded side of things. So everyone's fighting the good fight.
Oh yeah, we're just trying to get better. And you know what? I feel like our system actually makes us better too with the amount of questions that they come to us with. And there's always something new to talk about because just everything is evolving. Not only the data and the dashboards, but things like influencers weren't a thing 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So all of these questions that our owners come to us about only make us better marketers as well, because they're the eyes and ears, especially within different regions. I can Google all day long here from New Jersey on what might be best out in Arizona, but the owners there are also going to tell me about things like the Ostrich Festival and these huge traffic drivers that I might not necessarily know about just sitting over here. So it's a definitely partnership as well.
Yeah, Ostrich Festival, I would not have even guessed. So
nope, it's a thing.
There you go. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So what else, is there anything else that you haven't covered that's working well for you guys right now on the marketing front you're seeing as a trend?
I feel like the events calendar that we were talking about before is something that we're aiming to get underway and have more available for the entire system, because people have already started doing such wonderful work out at individual resorts when it comes to preparing for different events. Pet parents are looking for those kind of extra experiences, little keepsakes, things like that. So I'm really excited about seeing how this blossoms basically throughout the entire system. So that's really exciting. Grassroots is always great. Digital, again, I love digital. It's necessary, but when it comes to it, we need the entire mix of everything to make sure that people understand truly who we are and being able to convey the education on what we're trying to do here, which is, again, keeping dogs safe while pet parents are out of town or in need of a doggy daycare to just watch dogs have fun and exercise.
Yeah. And I would think that video would be epic and awesome for all the content you guys are doing. Are you utilizing video?
I'm glad you brought that up. So yes, we are utilizing a lot of video. We do have external creators. We have a few different creative agencies that we work with. We also have internal people who create some of our content. So a lot of our more highly engaged with posts are things like videos behind the scenes, dogs running around, fun music behind it. So absolutely, video is huge right now. Static posts are a nice support, but at the same time, you're competing with people who are scrolling very fast. So it has to be incredibly eye-catching for them to actually stop. So video has been very helpful for that.
Yeah. What social channels are you guys on?
We're currently on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. The big two.
The big two. Yep, absolutely. And Instagram's always been really great for us. Both of them have been great. It's photo heavy, so photo and video heavy. People are also utilizing it to find recommendations. The use of hashtags has been very important for us, so you can cast that wider net for people to actually find you. So when you are doing posts or any kind of social media posting and getting out there, hashtags are a non-negotiable, basically. You have to do it if you want to find a bigger audience.
Yeah, that's a great tip. All right, and then one thing I definitely want to get to before we wrap up our convo as well is just AI. It's everywhere. There's so many tools. It's like streaming wars has come to AI tools, and now there's just a tool related to AI for anything that you want to do. I'm curious if you have any tools that you love, that your team's been using or love, in terms of what other marketers might be able to poach from you in terms of tips or things that you love.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be life-changing because it is ChatGPT. I know that it's well-loved by a lot of people, but I actually went to an AI workshop recently as well. Shout out to Stay in Your Lane.
Oh, nice.
Did a wonderful job out at a summit that I was at recently. And they were even saying ChatGPT is one of the better tools, and I've been using it for years. So it's so helpful to bounce ideas off of it, guide it in the way I want to go, especially when it comes to content and different ideas, outlines, things like that, and thought starter. It's really nice to have that as a tool. I really like ChatGPT.
Yeah. Do you have the paid version or do you use the free?
I use the free version at this moment in time, but I'm very cognizant to not give it any information that is proprietary, because even when it's private, I learned that even if you give it proprietary information, it's not necessarily safe. So I'm very cognizant, and so is my team, about never revealing anything that's not already public out there for people to see.
Yeah, that's a good tip. And I did hear from a different marketer, they thought it was totally worth the extra, I forget how much it is, to pay for the next level up, because of the way that it can learn your brand or what you're asking more and all that kind of stuff. So I tried the paid version now, but I don't know if I'm actually seeing a difference. So I'm curious if other people have POVs on that or not.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that too. I know with our team just being as small as it is right now, we're looking into eventually getting more of a paid system into place. But for right now, we also do a lot of the brain work when it comes to the content creation more in-house, and get some good ideas externally as well. So we don't necessarily have to use that tool as a paid tool just yet, but we're thinking, what's our next step?
Yeah, nice. And before we wrap up too, I want to see, is there any question that you wish I would have asked that I didn't, or topics that we wish we would have touched on but didn't? Not that you have one.
No, I don't think so. No, I was just so excited to dive into some of these pieces with you. I love chatting all things marketing. I'm excited to continue learning, because there's so many different tools out there, especially when it comes to AI. I feel like people get really worried about AI taking your job or whatever that might look like. But honestly, as long as you understand the tools, that's what's going to really count in helping move forward. So I feel like just learning everything I possibly can about AI and all the tools out there will be incredibly beneficial.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the creative aspect of creative ways to solve problems. That's one thing that I do hear great tips from people on. It's okay, you don't just need to use an AI tool to use it. It's what's the key problem you're trying to solve or unstick with your team or your system, and then what's the right tool to be able to unstick that. And so it's like, it's a whole new creative world where there's different ways to be going about, like how to sell against a competitor, how to do better data analysis, how to be more efficient. And I do want to ask real quick about the Stay in Your Lane program, because I have seen that a ton. Love Patty and her crew over there, and Ingrid and everything that they're doing. So what was that kind of program like, and what did you guys learn from it and take away and cover throughout it? Give a quick shout out to them.
Yeah, sure. So we actually did it for a 2-hour seminar. It wasn't the full workshop, so
Okay.
I haven't had the chance to do the entire thing with them, but with the insights and peeking under the hood for better prompting and understanding how to utilize the templated areas within ChatGPT. If you have a certain way that you write emails, and you can train it to learn your voice, so you can quickly write an email back to somebody, or things like that was part of it as well. But just understanding how to prompt it better was very helpful.
Yeah, and huge. Literally, if you're not getting something back the way you want to be seeing it, or in the right format or way, it's you need to figure out how to ask it the right way. Like the tool can do it.
Yep. And they also talked a little bit too about algorithms, and when it comes to social media and what you follow and how it influences what's been shown to you and what will be shown to you, things like that too. I found very interesting.
Ooh, that's a whole different side of the coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I was actually, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I was actually thinking about the other day, because I mentioned I have a 9-year-old daughter. And so like the whole social media thing freaks me out in general. So I'm like constantly thinking about her future life. She has no phone, will not be getting one for a while. But I constantly think about her future life, and how one of my tips is, okay, you have to curate, like you have to proactively curate your feed to set your own algorithm. Otherwise, the algorithm will set itself for you, and it becomes like a crazy world of a lot of stuff that you're probably not going to necessarily see. But if you actually hide different content that you don't like and follow stuff that you do, or like the whole algorithm behind it, like you can have a better social media experience and digital experience, and almost like digital life. Like we're on it so often, you can curate it and feed more information to the algorithm to work with you, as opposed to being this like kind of cesspool that it could be.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So it's up to us, but we need to know about how we can go about doing it.
Yes.
So that was pretty helpful and interesting to learn about as well.
That's very cool. I love that stuff. All right, Cassie, thank you so much for joining. This was so fun. And thanks again for coming on, and everyone who listened in on the Art of Franchise Marketing podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening to The Art of Franchise Marketing. This show is brought to you by NetCertive. We help franchise brands and multi-location businesses run localized digital marketing at scale. To learn more, visit netcertive.com.